Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, and we'll get into this. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is another podcast of Beyond Click and Click. This is a podcast where I give you a little bit more about my life other than Lego. And no more Lego talk because this is not a Lego video, so that's the last time we'll talk about Lego. Anyway, this is where I give you my life story behind the scenes, like you see in my last podcast, skipping school, getting lost in the woods, the beginning of me. Um, Now, today is a little different. Anybody that knows me, this beginning of the year was not quite good. I experienced a flood, which I think in the long run is better for me. I got me a bigger Lego room now, and other stuff, of course. I mean, it's bad that we went through the flood and had to go through that headache of all that good stuff. So, but we did it. We did it. We did good. Uh, but back in 2003, I was working on the fire department, and we had to take these classes of storm spotting, and that's where we go out and we learn how to look at the clouds and see if there's a tornado and or what stuff like that. And I know every parts of this country has different, some experience earthquakes, hurricanes, tropical storms, and stuff like that. You know, but usually where I live, our biggest concern was severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. And I'm sure everybody has tornadoes everywhere, but it seemed like there for a while we were getting them all the time. But anyway, 2003, we when I first started the fire department in 2000, I had to go through the class, part of the thing to get on the fire department, and so I had to do that. And we go out there all the time, storm spotting. And 95, 96 of the time, it was just a thing. We'd go out there and look for an hour or so, then the National Weather Service would drop the warnings and watches, and then we come go back to the station, and that was it. But this one time, I remember it, plain as day. I was home. I got off at 7 o'clock that morning. Went home. Got cleaned up, got in my regular clothes, and I was going to go fishing that day. And my pager went off, and all available personnel to the back at the station. I'm like, what? And I didn't watch the weather that morning. I was busy trying to get home from work. Um, and when I left, it was sunny. It was nice. I mean, it was a good day. I was excited to go fishing. So I went back to the station, and of course, we looked on the radar. It was a pretty bad storm getting come through. So I wouldn't have gotten any fishing done anyway. But that wasn't the storm that did anything. It brought us some rain and thunderstorms. It just made stuff in the atmosphere all crazy. It was 100 degrees, then went down to 60 degrees, like that, and that was a little concerning because in my years there, I knew it was that drastic weather change. Something's going on. We're getting something. Um, but this, usually, and let's go back a little bit. Usually, the storms happen middle of the night. For the atmosphere is changing, the temperature is changing. But for some odd reason, this was different. It was in the afternoon. It, like I said, it dropped down to 60 degrees fast, and didn't know what to take of that. So Went to my normal spot because everybody, at that time I was a lieutenant and everybody had their own spot. Me and my my best friend that was on the fire department was with me that day. We were watching the sky like normal. And these clouds were coming in, wicked clouds. I mean, wicked. I'm like, well, this could be different. And for some reason, I lived. I was a lieutenant at Station One. This was at Station Three that I responded to because that's when they needed. And that's what because that was closer to my house. So usually, sometimes, if how fast the weather comes in, they will say, "Hey, look," they give us areas that we're closer to living. We'll report to that station, and that's what I did. I went to Station Three, got in a truck. Me and my best friend was on duty on that Station Three, and we went out and went in a fire truck to on top of a hill where we always go because you can see wide open. You can see a lot of sky. There's no trees, no buildings in the way of. It just you can see for miles. We start looking, and we start getting hail, and we sat through hail before, and it was just a bad thunderstorm, no tornadic activity, and these were pretty good sized hail stones coming down, hitting the top of the truck and the ground around us. Then we start seeing debris. And we were looking, and we finally saw the tornado. It was an F4. I think usually a tornado they don't get ready until afterwards because they're read on the damage, not actually the tornado. It's the path and the damage. So through this was an F4 tornado, but we could see it was a pretty big tornado coming because we could see it going across, right? So we saw that, and we're like, wow, this is going to be interesting. And at that time, I didn't really panic because my house was on due east of where it was coming. The tornado was coming from the west east, and my house was a little further way down east. So I wasn't too worried yet, and it didn't look like it was on the path. Well, I I was like, man, this is bad. This is bad. Um, went a few minutes later, started going hearing debris, debris, debris. Then we getting our reports in. There's a tornado, we need emergency responders, and we knew we were going to call everybody and their dog in that day. I mean, we called surrounding fire departments, a bunch of PD from other towns were coming, and ambulances and stuff like that. Because it was turning bad. Um, well, sooner or later, we saw the tornado go and pick up, and it just like it turned from night to day. It was dark, rainy, then it just cleared up, back to sunny weather and all that. It was time for us to go assess the damage, and our chief contacted us and go ahead and keep safety in mind and head towards the damage zone so we can get a estimate on what we need, what kind of stuff we need, and stuff like that. So we got down to my highway, and it was just total destruction. I'm like, oh my gosh, this can't be good. We couldn't even get our fire trucks down because of wires everywhere. So we went to the end of the IT intersection, walked off the road with our engine, and I go, well, I guess we'll just start walking down the road and go house to house, stay away from the power lines. And that's what I did. Went to knock on people's houses and making sure they were okay and stuff like that. And we were assessing the damage as well. Finally, we went in. I made it down to my house. Well, where my house used to be. It was just a slab of concrete. And I was like, what? At that time, it did not faze me because I was more concerned but other people, because I knew where my family was. My wife and daughter, my newborn daughter at the time, was at my parents' house and in an area that wasn't even hit. So I knew they were safe. So at the time, I didn't really think about it. Well, I we worked 24 hours a day. I was tired. I went to my mom and dad's house, slept, woke up the next day, and I was off that day. And I go, well, I guess I ought to go make it out to the house and see what's going on. And we went out there, and I saw a lot of damage. A lot of people lost their homes sitting out there in the front yards and all in lost of what they're going to do. And I went and assessed my damage in my house, my property. My shop was gone. I had a barn that was gone, and my house was gone. It was a concrete barn, a tin shop, and my house. Well, I thought to myself that day, I said, well, there ain't nothing I can do about it. It was bad. I knew, I called my insurance, of course. My wife did. And so I went on to the fire station and decided, hey, you know what? I'll volunteer some time to go out there and help them assess the damage. So that's what I did. We went every day. I did this for a month. I don't know if it was because I didn't want to face the problem or what, but I felt like my family's good. I know what happened. There ain't nothing I can do about it, but maybe I can help these other people. So that's what I did. I went and helped all these other, my neighbors and all that. And I went through there, and finally my chief took me into his office and he says, look, because you're a victim in this too, even though he goes, you're putting in a lot of work helping other people. It's time for you to help you. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm okay. My insurance, we're going to rebuild. Me and my wife already discussed it. We're going to rebuild. We'll just take some time. But, in the meantime, there's still jobs to do. Getting stuff out of the middle of the road, helping people salvage their stuff out of their house, doing my shift, and making sure everybody had some drinking water, because our job was going around each place every day and handing out water, water, food. What supplies that was donated to us to help them out is what we did. We distributed. That was our job. That is what the Office of Emergency Management needed from us at the time for that incident. We still had to do our fires, wrecks, our normal fire department job, but we were out there in the damage in it, helping that other people out, because that's what we do. But finally, it was a Sunday afternoon. I was off. I was relaxing. This is first time that week. The whole week, I just sat down and I took time for me on my day off. I just took time for me to sit there and just relax, hang out with the family. Well, I got bored, not with my family, but I just got bored, so I went to the fire station just to see what was going on. I sat down, and my assistant chief was funny. He was sitting there. At that time, he was just sitting there at our training room. He had a desk there that he always did his work at. I sat down in the training room, just started looking through a magazine, and he looked at me and goes, "Have you been out to your house today?" I said, "No, I stayed at my mom and dad's. I was just took some time for me, man." He said, "I understand that, but," he goes, "Let's go." I go, "What do you mean?" I go, "What do you mean? What are we doing?" He said, "Just get in the Blazer." Well, the Blazer is the assistant chief's vehicle. So I did. we went out. We started driving out to the house, and next thing I see is a bunch of people at my house. I was like walking the fields, and it was all the guys from the fire station. They were there cleaning up my property, and I'm like, y'all didn't have to do that. There's other, and it basically set me down and said, look, you all week's been worried about other people than yourself. It's time to give it back to you. And that meant so much to me that my brothers and in the fire service and sisters were out there working at my place. I didn't even know they were there. I was at my mom and dad's. I didn't know anybody was there. 'Cause I plan on when things got quieter down, I'd go out there and tend to my own stuff. So I was just kind of waiting till everybody got taken care of. But that really touched me in a way, because the fire service is a brotherhood. I don't know how many of y'all out there that listen that on a fire department or was in as a volunteer or whatever. It's a family. It's kind of like this Lego community that we're in here. I go with Lego. It's a family. Always wanting to help out each other out, and that's what I love the most about this community and the fire service. It was just family. So of course I went and started helping. This is my stuff. I feel but that meant the world to me that they took the time to go out there and and clean it up. You know, I tell you that story, tell you this other story as well. About 6 months before the winter before all that happened, it was ice, and somebody ran through my field and went through my shop. Everybody was okay, just my shop, and I was like the same thing, making sure she was okay. Uh, I wasn't worried about the shop; I could rebuild it, no problem. And I just got in and spend. I think I tore it down, built a whole new shop, like $9,000. Right? I looked at my chief and I said, huh, well, that shop I just spent $9,000 on, it just went into the wind, as a joke. And everybody laughed, after the fact. You know what? And our community was lucky. Nobody got seriously injured, but we did have one fatality. But everybody else was okay. There were minor scratches and bumps and bruises, but I think we got lucky for how much damage that was. I couldn't say the same for what happened next, but that time in my community, the one I was my department area, one fatality, everybody else was okay. A town where it actually dropped on, there was 15 people that perished, and it's just a sad story. Uh, then a few years later down the road, Joplin, Missouri got hit with a tornado, and we went and helped with that too, and it was it was pretty bad. A lot of deaths there, but that's a bigger city. It happened in the city. Ours was on outskirts of town, so there wasn't that much houses and people in the way, but some got it, and I was one of them. And guys, I can't stress to you enough. Don't be one of those that when tornado warnings and watches come out, you're the one going outside on the front porch with cameras watching it. Do what they ask you to do. Go to your inner middle of your house, your storm sailors or wherever that's your safety zone in your house, or get to a shelter. Don't don't do that. Don't do that because it you're gonna become a victim. There's gonna be like 99% out there. He always goes north of us. There's gonna be that one time where it's gonna hit you, and I would hate to see any of you or my friends suffer through anything like that. Um, but yeah, I watched my home explode. I saw a bunch of debris when that tornado was hitting it. It just, not everything in my life is bad. I know my podcast here, I'm just telling you stories what I've experienced in my life. Thinking maybe y'all like to hear it and like to discuss it, but I just wanted to share this with you today. Um, but guys, thank you for watching. If you like it, please hit that like button. Leave me a comment. See, and let me know if you all been in the same situation before. Tell me a little bit about your story, and I'll share it on the next video, on the next podcast. Guys, live life to the fullest. Always pay it forward, and always be kind to one another. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.